Welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet Violet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today we're going to be making some Regulation H content. So I want to go ahead and start off with the top 5 water types that you're going to see in Regulation H. So if you like this type of content, go ahead and subscribe for me, turn on those post notifications, because I'm pretty much going to go through all the types and give you the top 5 from each type, just so you can kind of have an idea of which types are going to be the best ones in the format. Well, not which types are going to be the best, but which Pokemon of the types are going to be the best, right? So if you want to stay tuned for this series, just go ahead and subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you can get notified when these videos are uploaded. So with this list, we're going to start with the honorable mentions. So honorable mentions is going to be a couple Pokemon that I feel are really good or have like a niche in the format, right? Where they have a specific thing that they do that makes them good, but I wouldn't say that they're top 5 in the format, which is, it's going to be really hard to crack that 4, and I mean that 5, and it may be some mons that are in the honorable mentions that you may think personally are top 5, but in my opinion I don't believe that they are, or they don't qualify to be a top 5 water type. Alright, so our first one is going to be one that I feel like doesn't qualify to be one of our top 5. It's going to be Dondozo, and the reason that Dondozo doesn't qualify is because Dondozo is actually at its best form when it's fused with Tatsugiri, right? And since we're talking about individual water types, we don't want to talk about Dondozo as a fusion as far as being top 5. Now, if these were separate, I would say they're at least like maybe top 15 in the format, maybe even top 10 for Donzo. It depends on how good, like, it doesn't really have Ting Lu to go for like the yawn stuff, but it's still a really bulky water type, right? So I still think it may be like top 10, but it's not going to crack the top 5, right? So Tatsugiri also probably a top 15. This thing with Scarf or like Focus Sash, it's still going to deal a lot of damage with, like, you know, base 120 special attack with a Choice Scarf, right? So it's really good. But together, they may be the best water type in the format, right? But since we're ranking them individually, they're not going to be in the top 5. So I just wanted to go over this. Dondozo, you know, you can run a plethora of sets and terrors with it, whether it's like a special set with the Surf and the Pelipper core, or you're running like an Order Up Earthquake with like Grass Terror and Leftovers and Protect, which is a really good set and helps you into like Amoonguss and things like that. So Dondozo is going to be our first honorable mention. Our next honorable mention is going to be Pelipper, since we just spoke on Pelipper. So Pelipper, while it is a good water type, this Pokemon really shined in the restricted formats when what it's good at is like removing the weather from like opposing weather, like Koraidon, hitting it for super effective with Hurricane, as well as Groudon, removing the sun and hitting it with water type Weather Ball. It's good with the Wide Guard into both Calyrex forms, and it's just typically like annoys Kyogre because of the Wide Guard as well, and also being able to resist like the water type damage, right? So it's a really good mon in my opinion. I don't think in this format it's going to be top 5. It may be the best rain setter that's going to initiate your rain teams, but that's basically going to be its best role, right? But it's not actually going to be your sweeper a lot of the times. Of course, it can deal damage, but I wouldn't consider it as a top 5 in this format. But like I said, the honorable mentions are going to be Pokemon that have niches, right? And Pelipper's niche is that it's going to be probably the best rain setter that's going to go along with your team. And if you have just like a balanced team like Gholdengo and Amoonguss that really don't like fire types, then you can have Pelipper on that team to like reduce the fire type damage, right? So next we have Empoleon. So Empoleon is going to be another one of our honorable mentions, and honorable mention because Incineroar is going to be insanely good in this format. And if you want something that can, you know, thrive off getting a boost from Incineroar's Intimidate, then Empoleon is going to be a really good bet. You could say Melodic, but in my opinion, Empoleon Steel typing makes it better than Melodic. And Melodic seems kind of gimmicky sometimes with like the Coil and Hypnosis type things. And I think Empoleon plays a little bit more consistent with the competitive boost. And just being able to hit things with like Stab, Steel type damage, and like powerful Hydro Pumps. And also just the other plethora of moves it get. Plus like going for like Fairy Terra Blast is going to be really strong for it against into like fighting types that threaten it, right? And the Incineroar really doesn't want to see Empoleon. It's just going to boost your attack, and you're going to be able to one-shot it or force a Terra, right? Now, if you run a Ghost Terra, you can get around the Fake Out and just remove it. So I think Empoleon's going to be really good. Our next honorable mention is going to be Tauros, and this is going to be Paldean Tauros. The reason Paldean Tauros has a niche is because there's not there's not a lot of fighting types that are good in this format. And with Tauros being a water type slash fighting type, it's gonna be hard to like fit, other things on your team that are like better fighting types than Tauros, right? There may be a few, but with Intimidate plus, having the coverage to hit those bulky normal types and the dark types, or just removing Cineroar with like a clear amulet, Tauros will be really good to deal with Incineroar. And also you can run something like what's it called? I forgot what this item is called. I can't remember what it's called. It was an item that was used on it back in like Regulation A. That if you know this item, you can put it in the comment section below. I actually literally forgot what it's called. But basically, if you intimidate something like a King Gambit or a Annihilate, you get Mirror Herd. That's what it is. Yeah, Mirror Herd. So if you intimidate a King Gambit or an Annihilate, you'll get a +2 boost. When they get a boost, you'll just copy them, right? So it's also really good at running that item, right? I don't think you can really do that with Incineroar, because Incineroar is known to be more bulky, and this is known to be like a more offensive Intimidate user, right? So I think that you can kind of get away with that as well. So I think Tauros does have a niche that you're going to be using it to like deal with those bulky normal types like Snorlax, like Ursaluna, Porygon 2. You're going to need something to hit those normal types with Normaterra, Dragonite, and it's just really good into them. Our last honorable mention is going to be Gastrodon. Gastrodon's niche is that it has Storm Drain, and this makes it really good into the water types that are going to be in the format. As the first Regulation H tournament had just concluded, like the number 1 placing team and number 2 placing team were both rain teams. So just think about how good rain is going to be, right? So Gastrodon is going to be like a good counter in the rain and reducing some of that water type damage. Palafin really doesn't like to see Gastrodon, since a lot of Palafins kind of run like double water type moves with like Substitute or like Bulk Up, and they can't really do anything outside of their water type attacks, right? And then if Gastrodon just on the team, you literally just can't bring your Palafin, or you just have to try to remove Gastrodon first. Now it does run into the issue where it gets removed instantly by Rillaboom, but you can kind of run a fire type Terra to get around that, right? And if you want, you can run like a grass type Terra, a fairy type Terra to deal with Dondozo. And now you are immune to the order up. You don't take too much from Earthquake that you can heal back from, and then you just threaten Dondozo with like Yawns and stuff, right? Like Yawn, Protect plus like Leftovers is a really good set as well to help you deal with Dondozo. And it can't, if it has Wave Crash, it can't hit you either, right? You just get a special attack boost. Even though it ignores a special attack boost, you can eventually whittle it down, right? Unless it has like Rest or something like that. But this is going to be our honorable mentions before we get into our top 5. And let me know what a comment below. Do you think any of these should belong in the top 5? Let me know. But getting into our top 5, our number 5 slot is going to have to go to Araquanid. Araquanid is really cool in my opinion because it can run Clear Amulet too, but you can also run like Life Orb. This thing is going to be a really good Among Us answer, because if you run Safety Goggles, then Among Us can't really do a lot into it, right? And being able to, threaten with Water Terror, if you have like a Pelipper on your team to just remove those Sun teams like Torkoal, it's really good into that stuff with like the Safety Goggles, right? And even if Incineroar intimidates you, like Water Terror, Water Bubble, Liquidation is just doing so much damage. It gets Wide Guard, which you probably won't need it that much in this format. Substitute is going to be really good on this mon since it puts on a lot of pressure. And if they bring their Rillaboom, then you just remove that with like a Leech Life, and you heal back some. So this Pokemon is going to be really good. It's very offensive, very trick room oriented, very specially defensive, and I think that it can be good in this format. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be a top 5 water type. Next, get into the 4th water type. This is going to be the best, in my opinion, the best Swift Swim user. So it's the best user on rain teams of the Swift Swim ability. It's going to be Basculegion, and I think it's a lot better than Kingdra. And with the Ghost type, you're able to immediately be immune to Fake Out, so you can't be faked out. And even though Incineroar can intimidate you, again, Clear Amulet is a real thing in this format, right? And now you're just dealing so much damage. And of course, it's going to be the male Basculegion. That's the physical variant, right? And I think that this is really strong. Last Respects is really good for cleaning up end games. if you save for the end game. And then also, like, what other physical attacks does it get? Terra Blast might be a play on this. Flip Turn if you just really need pivoting, and Phantom Force if you want to get really crazy. But Wave Crash, even though you're taking a lot of chip, that's doing so much damage, right? And if they try to have like a Sun team against you, you can run like Head Smash and just still be able to remove Incineroar. So it gets a lot of good text. Like you have Psychic Fangs to remove screens from Grimmsnarl, and also like Threaten Amoonguss, which kind of like walls this. Especially like if it can redirect you and soak up your water type damage, right? In that case, you could probably run like a Terra Grass, so that you get around your grass weakness and your electric weakness, and now you get around the Amoonguss, right? So Terra Grass is really good for it. And I would say at that point, you probably want to run like instead of Flip Turn, run like a Terra Blast, just so you can just deal with other water types when they come to play the game. And I think that well, this thing is gonna need Protect, right? And one of its best moves is if it gets caught in a bad spot, it's gonna need Aqua Jet. So it kind of runs into 4 move syndrome. Well, if you are able to fit like a Terra Blast onto this thing, it can help you into like those other rain teams, unless you just have other counters on your team, right? But this will probably be like the most common set that you see. Terra Grass removes the grass and electric weakness, and helps you get around Amoonguss redirection, so you can put all your damage into the slot that you want to focus on. So next we have our number 3 slot. Our number 3 slot is gonna go to Primarina. I think that Primarina is the best fairy in the format, and spoilers, I think Sylveon just can't compete with it because of the water typing. It just gives it a lot more arsenal to hit more types for super effective damage, whereas Sylveon's really only hitting dark types and dragon types with the fairy coverage, right? And I believe what else is weak to fairy? Dark, fighting, and fighting types. But you know, Primarina can hit fire types and rock types, ground types, all that as well, right? And then also like stab, not stab, but Ice Beam is coverage. You also get Energy Ball to help you deal with, you could run like a Throat Spray on this. I would say Throat Spray is a good set, or you can run like an AV so that you can fit 4 moves onto it. You run Assault Vest, and then you run like Energy Ball. You're gonna run its best move, which is Hyper Voice, and then Moonblast, of course. And this is a really good set. You could get freaky and then run like Aqua Jet just to give you some priority, like to kill, like take out mons that to faint mons that have Focus Sash and stuff like that, right? So you could run it. Of course, you're gonna run Liquid Voice so that your Hyper Voice becomes a water type attack. If you did want to run that set, you drop one of your coverage moves and pick up the Aqua Jet, which can be really interesting. It depends on how good Focus Sash is in the format. And like I said, Basculegion, it may be one of those Focus Sash models, but I think Clear Amulet is going to be the best for it. But I think that Primarina holds up. Dragon types, I feel like are going to be really good in this format, so you're probably going to need Primarina to help deal with those, as well as being really good into Incineroar, right? Just as natural counter to Incineroar. And you can get around Fake Out with like a Ghost Terror and stuff like that, so it's not really that big of a deal. Also, Primarina tends to run on Trick Room teams, so it's not hard to like fit in a DD with Primarina and just be able to redirect and go for Water Terror, Hyper Voice, and just kind of like clean through your opponent, just like an Ursaluna would, right? And it's really strong in my opinion. Next, so our number 2 slot is gonna have to go to Palafin. So Palafin, when it's in its hero form, is absolutely insane Pokemon. It's base 160 physical attack. I do think that the Clear Amulet is going to be good for in this format. I know it used to run other things like Leftovers and Safety Goggles for Amoonguss, but I think you can get away with like a Water Terror on this. I don't think that Substitute is the play this time. I know you're going to want Jet Punch and Wave Crash just because it just does so much freaking damage, right? I think you need some type of, if Gastrodon's good, I think you need to have Terra Blast, or at least Close Combat. It's your choice. Some people, if you want to run setup, you could run bulk up, but you really need to, if you're going to run this set, you always must have Protect on Palafin, right? Almost always. If you're going to run this set, you're going to need to have like some grass types on your team or something else that can help you, because if Palafin's your main, the Pokemon that you're building around, and you just run into a Gastrodon, it's like completely over with, right? But you're gonna see a lot of Palafin balanced teams, like Palafin Incineroar Rillaboom, Palafin Incineroar Amoonguss, Palafin Hisuian Arcanine Amoonguss, or Palafin Hisuian Arcanine Rillaboom. There's just a lot of different fire, water, grass cores and balance cores that can be created with Palafin. So it's going to be pretty prevalent. You might even see like haze. This used to be like a Dondozo answer, like Palafin will run haze and then just 2 water moves. And it would be really good to Dondozo and still be able to deal a lot of damage. It would usually run like on Pellet Protein, just so you're getting the most out of those water type attacks. And then it'll also run like Water Terror. And now it's like in rain, this thing is like picking up everything with Jet Punch. And at that point, you really don't even need Wave Crash, right? That's just overkill in a lot of situations. And then you can run like a coverage move like Close Combat, right? Or even Drain Punch. I think Drain Punch would be good on like a bulk up set too, just to be able to heal back. Like Drain Punch plus Jet Punch. I can see that being a really popular set. And now you're able to, you already can hit Incineroar for physical type damage, but now you're able to deal with a lot of normal types that are in the format. This can function like your pseudo, and I would say Grass Terror, because you need to be to get around the moves always, and could turn off your electric and grass weakness, become resistances, right? And this could be a good set. You drop the Wave Crash, and now you're more focused on healing, right? And now you're able to, deal a lot of damage and get around those bulky normal types. But the last slot in our number 1 slot is gonna go to, you guys might have guessed it, but it's gonna be Gyarados. Now Gyarados, while it does have a 4 times weakness to electric, there's not many that good electric types in the format. Like if you look at the electric types, and we're gonna eventually do a best electric type, like there's not really anything that's gonna be really relevant that hits it, right? You might see Palmont, right? Like electric is like non-existent. Rotom might be okay. Choice Scarf Toxtricity, maybe you'll see a little bit of that. Maybe you'll see some Trick Room, Vikavolt, Raichu to help with the rain teams. It's mostly Palmont. Pachirisu is not really that valuable in this format. Kilowattrel, like none of these are really screaming like good, great electric types. So like, I really think that Gyarados can really just like clean through like everything. Like there's nothing really else to stop it. I mean, you have rock type damage, but Gyarados intimidate. Rock types are usually physical. Gyarados intimidates those, and you're able to, Terror to get away from that pretty easily. So without the electric type attacks, you really don't even need to Terror. And Gyarados usually runs like Safety Goggles. It runs like Citrus Berry. Of course, it's gonna run like Thunder Wave and Waterfall, which is it's not really a gimmick because it's consistently like you're paralyzing them. Now you're moving first, and now you're potentially flinching things and going for Waterfall. And then Taunt, of course. And then you run either Protect or Helping Hand. Helping Hand gives it a little bit more support, so it's not just stuck on the field like not doing anything. Like when there's like a Gastrodon there, Helping Hand helps you like boost your teammates, right? You might even see like some physical. I would say they probably would drop Helping Hand and go Terra Blast, or maybe you would drop Taunt for Protect, right? And then you have kind of like Flying Terror, and now your Gyarados can threaten Amoonguss, right, and do Terra Blast. And now Gyarados is base 125 physical attack, so that's really doing a lot of damage with that Terra Blast. Like we've seen this before. Gyarados can definitely be offensive, and then I've seen like even like Life Orb with this, right? And you might expect Gyarados to kind of be like passive, and then the whole time this Gyarados is ready to just kind of like deal damage and not even go for like paralysis and stuff like that, right? And it can have like a set like this. And even if you just want to be full offense and drop that, you can probably drop it for like oh, it gets a fire type move now. That's interesting. Wait, that's pretty cool. I didn't know Gyarados got Temper Flare. Wait, what if you do this and then go Terra Fire? I'm just thinking of some things, right? And then you just need another move instead of Terra Blast, because you're gonna go for the Temper Flare. So if they Protect, this becomes 150 base power, right? This is just like Stumping Tantrum. There's no Flutter Mane, so there's no need for the Iron Head coverage, right? I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of Ghost types running around. I would say probably Stone Edge or Earthquake. Earthquake is probably the best bet. Or even I would say just do this Dragon Dance, and now you got like a pretty cool Temper Flare, fire water type, right? And this is really good because Gyarados is naturally like fire is a good Terra for it, because nobody's going to be clicking. Well, I guess they can click rock type attacks into you, right? So you still have that weakness, but they're not clicking any ground type attacks or water type attacks into you, right? Because you already resist those. This can be a cool set, but this is just me theory crafting. Like I said, the best set is going to probably be the Citrus Berry, Thunder Wave, and Waterfall. But I think Gyarados is going to be the best water type in the format. It's going to be on those balanced teams with Incineroar. It's going to be on those balanced teams with Rillaboom. Mungus, those are going to probably be the best partners for it. It's going to be a good anti-rain team to help you deal with those powerful rain teams with resisting the water damage. It can help you deal with sand teams with intimidating them. It helps you deal with not necessarily snow teams because they can just have freeze dry for you. But it also helps you deal with sun teams by resisting the fire type damage, right? And if you run like a Temper Flare, now you're like dealing a lot of damage. But like I said, that's gonna be it for this list. Let me know with a comment below what you guys think, if you agree on it. Do you think that Gyarados is gonna be the best water type in the format? Do you think that it's something else? Do you think maybe it's Palafin? Are you a Palafin fan? Are you a fan of Primarina? Which one do you think is gonna be the best in the format? But if you like this type of content and you want to get the rest of the list with all the types that's coming out soon, I'm gonna be doing one by one, so stay tuned. The next one's gonna be, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the fire types next, right? We're gonna start with the fire, water, grass core, or water, fire, grass core, however you want to say it. But that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know in the comment below if you guys agree. Subscribe, turn those post notifications, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, deuces.